there is a strong connection between um, starting to be a runner and then eventually being a serious runner who doesn't want, who's really focused on performance. Everybody starts that way initially, so there is that connection there.
Yeah, it was great because we interviewed Kathy English last month.
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
Yes, and she started. She, like you, she was exercising for a long time, although running wasn't her thing. But obviously, she got the bug as well. And it looks as though the first two interviews are all about running. But I like the fact that he mentioned the walking, just getting out and exploring the area, and the Easy Fartlek website that Adri's got based upon the Dutch philosophy.
Yes.
It's almost like a role reversal of um, the Jeffing type thing, where you run and then slow down and walk. An Easy Fartlek
Yes.
is like the reverse of that, where you build up gradually, as opposed to take time off during a running exercise just to. I'm not quite sure what the physiological response of the body is when you run and then you start walking, and then you run and walk again. But obviously there is research there.
It's just a load. I think at the end of the day, it's just a loading. If you do something that is slightly uncomfortable, your body adjusts accordingly. Whether it's muscular or whether it's something in your cardiovascular system, it makes adjustments. One of the simple ways to look at it is that basically you go into a state of mild hypoxia. So you're out of breath. Basically, and as a response to that, your body makes changes to your physiological system, so that you're less out of breath in future. That may be through increasing muscle power, through increasing the number of fibers that you need, and obviously to do that, it does things like capillarization, extra capillaries in the muscles and in the lungs. To pick up the oxygen and to transport it, and also hormonal changes, EPO, natural EPO, the body's hormones, and so on, to stimulate changes. So that's what it, and that comes from loading. If you do something which is uncomfortable, the body will respond. The analogy I first saw, I think, was if you go into the garden and start doing a lot of digging, your initially your hands will get blisters, and then once those are healed, a few days, and that they'll become calluses, and you won't get blisters again. Your hands will be resistant to the digging, and that is exactly the same. That's what the body does. Is it makes changes to your physiology in response to what you do with it. So you've just got to get out there and do it. But that's why I stated that point, that it's a really common thing that people go out and they do the high intensity bit because they think that they need that initially to make the stimulation, whereas in reality, anything which is more than what you normally do is a stimulation. You've just got to do enough of it, really, and low level is the best way. An example is people who are overweight, who do high intensity exercise. They've got to move. They basically have to move that weight around, and not surprisingly, the joints and muscles say, we don't really like this very much. And that but it does adapt. Your body changes, so that can be an issue for people. Where they're moving a lot of weight around. Not only are they more injury risk, but what happens is the body actually builds up more muscle to cope, and then they struggle to if they're focused, perhaps as one of their objectives is to lose weight, then they can struggle with that because the body has said, well, I'm carrying a big load here. I've built up bigger muscles to cope with that, and you actually struggle to lose the weight because you've got more muscle. And so the low intensity initially, combined with looking after yourself and making sure you're eating more of the right things and the right amount, gradually builds up the base that you need to then explore what your body can do from a much better position. So that's